And that's literally actively what I am working on. How can I get my heart and my message and our business and like our what we provide, our purpose, our service out to the world in a really authentic way?
Welcome to Entree Real Estate, where we turn the complexities of real estate into clear, actionable steps for building generational wealth. I've invested into different types of real estate all over the United States, and I run a thriving real estate fund. Join me as we document the entrepreneurial journey of scaling businesses and transforming the lives of tens of thousands of people around the world. Let's turn your real estate dreams into reality. Buckle up, because this is the start of something truly incredible. My name is Devin Robinson, and welcome to Entree Real Estate. All right, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Entree Real Estate Podcast. I cannot express how excited I am about this episode. One, because I feel like we've been going back and forth a lot to make it happen, but two, because this is probably one of my favorite people in the world. One, because she doesn't even know this, and this is really funny. I can distinctly remember exactly where I was when I first joined Collective Genius, and I heard Ren Bartlett get up and give a talk, and he talked about this awesome girl who really rose through the ranks and then completely helped to lead his company to where it was. And I just thought to myself, I was like, that is so awesome. That girl sounds amazing. I would love to meet her one day. She sounds like she's crushing it. And then, maybe one day I can learn a lot from her. Then we finally met at a CG meeting and I was like, that's her. That's her. I'm going to go talk to her. And then I talked to you and I just was blown away by one, your vulnerability, your authenticity, but also extremely, extremely impressed by one, what you've accomplished, the way you carry yourself, and honestly, just how smart and good you are at your craft. And then I just also was just super encouraged by how much you just care, the way that you care for people that you teach and you educate, and then also how cared for I felt in our conversations. And so I love the way that you make people feel valued. And so that's kind of an intro to, sure, we're going to talk about what you do professionally, but also just who you are personally. I look up to that a lot. And so I'm really thankful to have you here, Jennie, and super thankful for the people to hear about your heart and what you do, and to honestly learn a ton from you. And so thank you for being here. I'm excited. Jennie, I would love to you even just start, you can tell us, sure, you could tell us about who you are, but I dive in pretty quick. And I know that you and I are not very surface level conversation people. So I think we're going to have a fantastic podcast today. But I'd love to hear, just for the people, just to get some context of who you are and kind of what you do.
Oh my gosh, you're going to make me cry talking all that nice stuff. You better stop.
You deserve it.
Thank you. The feeling is very much mutual.
Thanks.
So you asked about me. That's so funny. I would say I really love being a coach. I love helping people transform. I love helping people become the best versions of themselves. I am a mom of a almost 3-year-old and a wife of a man that I adore.
Nice.
I'm the company that I run is called REI Sales Tools. It's a coaching and consulting sales company, sales and leadership. And I run it with my very amazing partner, Annie Yatch. And we have been in business about a year, and we have seen so many people's lives transform. And the conversations that I get to have on the day to day are not, I would say that they're not your traditional sales conversations. We just get to talk, I get to talk about real things with real people, and I get to support them in really, really cool ways. So that's what I do a little bit.
Nice. I love that. Okay. So I'm going to back up a little bit.
Yes.
You all everybody probably hears a little bit of an accent. And so where are you from? Just because I don't know I don't know, but I just think it's always so where are you from?
Yeah, I am from Alabama, born
Yep.
and raised in the South.
Cool. So Southern, and what I also love is you've also got this really awesome fire behind how you educate, the way that you teach, and I think it's a fire because you have so much passion behind it. And so what's really interesting, and I think we'll talk a lot about this, which I think is I'm excited about, is you are a very kind, very just Southern. I don't know if I'd say a Southern belle, right? You have that that's sometimes, because my wife is her family is very Southern, so I just think of Southern belle type thing. But also there's this mode that you switch, and I think I'd love to hear like what this comes from, partially because when we think of real estate sales, we typically think of like Wolf of Wall Street, bro culture, all of this stuff, but that's totally the opposite of you. And I love that about that because you've really excelled and now you teach that. And so I'd love to know like how did that become something that you fostered in your life? Like how did that desire to teach and to sell get to you where you are now? And I think like you said, who because it's a journey, but I also am really excited to hear about that journey because it's also probably, and I don't know if it's like what you've been like all your life, but it's also probably something that you've tapped into that you really learned to cultivate in your life and grow like a muscle to get to where you are today, where I think a lot of people are like, sales are intimidating. I don't feel like I fit in with this. I don't, but it's such an important skill to have. And so I'd love to hear that journey in sales for you as you've gotten to be a kind of a sales, transformational sales coach. I think is I may be categorizing that wrong, but I think you are like a transformational sales coach. So
Um,
how has that journey been for you?
I would tell you it's like, where do I dig into first? I would
Yeah.
say that from a young age, um, I was forced to be resilient. I
Hmm.
come from a single family household. My dad raised me pretty much by himself with the support of some amazing family
Hmm.
members and some amazing teachers. He's a retired Marine. So that tells you something.
Yeah.
He instilled so much of his character and his values. We talked so much about character. I remember him talking to me about character specifically and integrity and honesty. And, he defined those words for me. And not only did he teach me those things, he really showed me those things.
Hmm.
And so I talk about my dad all the time when anybody asks me about my journey because he's just such a, like, he's such a cornerstone for me. And he is my hero. I'm going to cry. um, so I didn't have a lot growing up, but he always showed me how to find the necessary tools, how to muster up the courage in myself to take action in one direction or another. And he always used to tell me, he'd ask me phenomenal questions. I mean, I
Hmm.
remember I would come home with a grade that was less than an A. And he would say like, "Did you do your best?" And he made me self-reflect. He gave me the opportunity to
It's
self-reflect
good.
and tell him like, I did. And he was like, "Well, then I'm proud of you." And so I think he really helped me see my value. And from there, like just facing trials and tribulations in my life and going through, young teenage years as a female with a dad figure and not a, just that was just tough. I had to learn how to
Yeah.
overcome and really lean on the people around me for that support. And so I think it just taught me how to find the tools, which is why our company is called REI Sales Tools. It's really a depiction of my life in so many ways, how to have a toolkit and a reservoir to dig into. So as far as sales is concerned, it's funny because I never thought I'm going to be a sales. I'm going to be in sales. That was never my dream. I mean, I have my degree in marketing. I remember being in school and being like, I want to be a teacher when I grow up. And then I was like, I don't have the patience for snot-nosed little kids. I do with my own.
I was going to say, unless they're your own, sometimes.
Sometimes.
That's right. Sometimes.
But I have my reservoir of tools to deal with my own child too. So I started in jewelry, which is funny. I sold jewelry. Actually, I started in shoes. So retail is kind of where I kind of got my start in sales, and I sold, AT&T services for a while. I did door to door, business to business sales with AT&T for a little while.
Okay.
And so I was with a retailer for a few years, and then I decided that that was no longer where I felt like I was going to grow. And so I started applying online and found myself in a real estate investing wholesale company as a lead manager, trying to figure out what in the world. I mean, I remember asking like, "What's equity?" But so I would say that it's that core that you have to have, those core values, those those things that are just ingrained in your DNA.
Yeah.
And also like I came to know I came to know the Lord at about 16. And I feel like I've learned how to trust the Lord's providence for my life.
Yeah.
And I say that like confidently, like it's like a daily
No,
thing.
that's definitely right. Sanctification.
But I feel like I've learned to try to rely less on myself and my skill set and
Mhm.
more on focusing on where I can offer support and serve. So,
That's good. I love that. And I think we both have a very similar foundation. Our foundation is in Christ. And so somebody asked me this question, or actually, I was interviewing somebody previously on the last podcast, and we started talking about this idea of like imposter syndrome, and he asked me like how do I fight imposter syndrome? And I told him what typically happens for me is I have to continually remind myself that my value, my worth, my identity is not in other people and what they find in me, but that is in Christ. And so like as long as that's my foundation, then like I struggle, and I'm gonna struggle with imposter syndrome. Like you're gonna struggle with trusting in the Lord's provision and what that looks like in your life. But also, I was listening to David Platt, and and David Platt, an Alabama pastor.
he baptized me.
No way. That's crazy. That's
I know
awesome.
that's like Christian. That's a Christian flex right
That
there.
is definitely, that is like, whoa, no big deal.
Yeah, I went
David
to
Platt.
Brick Hills when he was the
That's,
pastor. I was
yeah,
at
that,
his first secret church.
yeah,
I have like a full-on Christian flex with David
oh,
Platt.
that's definitely right. So, he came and actually he did a secret church at my church here in Charlotte. And so like I've been to a bunch of his secret churches, but
Yeah,
he came
he's
and physically did it at our church. That's really cool. So, but he says, and then you probably heard this where he says, and he was talking about American Airlines, but he says like God is sovereign, but I am responsible, right? So this idea that like trusting in the Lord's provision, God is sovereign in that, but also I am responsible in like the actions I have. And so then I connect that with like I think about your father and what you learned from your father, and your father being a Marine, and also your father being a single father Marine, which is awesome. I think, and I may be wrong, but I typically think, like maybe one of the biggest things he instilled in you was this grit to continue to go, this grit to continue to persevere.
no grit,
Uh,
no pearl.
that's right. That's right. So, and I see that in your life. Like I see that. It sounds like retail, door knocking, lead manager to running the whole thing. Like it's amazing into where you are today. And I know that you want to say a lot of things that I just talked about. So I'm going to be quiet and let you talk.
Um, Man, imposter syndrome, like we could spend literally the whole time talking
Hmm.
about this, but I will
Yeah.
tell you that like I'm never one to like plug something, but this is a little book, and I would tell you that like over the last
What
year,
book is it?
it's called Why Go to Work. And it's
Okay.
just a little pamphlet from ministries and the marketplace. And I got it from Sean McCloskey, Leadership Boardroom. And I think it's one of those books that somebody gives you when you're at a conference and you like put
Hmm.
it in your bag and you're like, "Pfft." But I really respect Sean in so many ways. And I was at his conference and he shared his testimony one morning early before we started the day. And it was it was just incredible. And so I came back and I realized that in 2023, for so much of the year, I let myself get swept away in fear because I've been so attached to the outcome of my success in the business or people's perception of me in the space. Contrary to what Christ says of me, right?
Yep.
Like my internal has just been so at war with itself in 2023. And I read this story in a book about like there are these wolves inside of you, and one's like fear and the other one's like love, and there's a little boy and he says which one wins, and the dad says the one you feed. And I'd never
Hmm.
heard that story before, and
Yeah.
I realized like for so much of 2023 I really have been feeding the wrong wolf in my self-talk, even though I've been battling it just been feeding that wolf of imposter syndrome of fear. And so this book really changed for my perspective for me, because there's some really hard questions, some really hard questions in here, like, do you encourage your children to work hard? And what do you think should motivate them to do so? And is there a cause and a, like, why do some people make more money than others, and how can you support that in scripture? And just some really tough questions. And
Yeah.
there's a big thing about significance, and I think I've really tried to rest in the fact that my value doesn't come from how hard I work, or from how well I use my skill set, or from what people think of me, or from even what I think of me. That my significance was sealed when Christ came and died. And so I'm really trying to rest in that. But I will tell you, like, the last few months have just been like super growth, super growth focused, just in uncovering my purpose and serving the Lord, and a higher purpose in my business of being able to glorify God, like, in the day to day. And when you open your eyes to see that, like, everybody that comes into your path, like, is a opportunity for you to love. And I'm not saying Bible beat, I'm saying love.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
love them where they're at. They're going through things. I mean, I was on a sales call just the other day, and I opened the door for just like, hey, where are we at? I was like on a coaching call, not sales call.
Yep.
And like, our people, we think just our sellers are going through it. We like to, like, put them over in this bucket. But like, our people on our teams, like, they have lives, and they have experiences and circumstances and situations. And sometimes we just have to pause and ask the questions, show
Yeah.
that you care, show that you love. So imposter syndrome for sure has been a battle, but your self-worth is not in how hard you work, or how much skill set you have, or how much money's in your bank account. And so I'm resting in that. I hope that encourages somebody
No,
today.
that's good. I actually want to go back. Like, I actually want to go back a little bit, and because I think it does encourage people, and I think it's like what a lot of people need to hear, because especially coming into a new year, and there's a lot of uncertainty, and coming out of a terrible Q4 for a lot of people, like all these things. I'd love to hear, like, so what did the last 6 months like? So you don't have to tell us like but like, what was that process for you? You said that there was a lot of self-evaluation. There's a lot of you kind of
Yeah.
defining a lot of that purpose for your life and where you are, and like, how did you go about doing that? What was that process like?
I've been reading. Like, I love to read books, any kind of book. If it's impacted your life, I want to read it. And so I've been reading a lot, but I will tell you that self-reflection really looked like, I started with, like, writing my own eulogy, which sounds like super morbid. Like, what would I say of me if I were to die, and it would my
Yeah.
funeral, and all of my, the people that I told, like, you would write your own eulogy, you control freak, you, like, da 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 da. But I did. I wrote my own eulogy. I have a vision coach. Like I said, Sean McCloskey, and this kind of the journey that he has kind of propelled me on. So I wrote my own eulogy, and I started really evaluating my life. Like, what are my needs? What are my wants? What is my vision for myself? How, where do, travel, health, all these components, and just started, like, as much as I could, dumping everything onto a paper, and really wrestling with that wolf inside of me that was like, you don't deserve any of this. Like, you're never going to achieve any of this. Look at what everybody else is doing. You're definitely never going to get there. Like, and then recognizing that, like, none of those things are things that I truly value. Like, I don't value a brand new car, or, I mean, of course it's nice. Like, I'm not saying that the worldly things are awful, these material things are bad. Like, I like to get my nails done. I like to look nice. I like to go shop, like,
Hmm.
these are nice things. But, like, there's such a greater purpose beyond all of that. And so I think getting all of my thoughts out onto paper and just trying to go back to them and revisit them. Like, I've been working on my vision for months and months and months. And every time I look at it, when I first sat down, I was really nervous and not excited. And now when I go look at my vision, like, it excites me. It gets me going. And I would say that, I made up in my mind that I was going to feed the right wolf this year. And so I
Good.
started journaling and just writing down my praises and my prayers and my heart, and just being intentional with my myself and my time with God.
Yeah.
And I think also, like, inviting my husband in on this journey with me, like being able to share, like, these are the things that are stirring in my heart, and him encouraging me and supporting me and all of that, and like him letting me write my vision independently of our marriage was really impactful in a lot of ways. So,
I love that. That's great. So, what I also really loved about that is there's two parts to it, and I would love to hear. So, for you, as you built out that vision, like, what's your vision? So, for you, do you have like a? Because I know a lot of people have like
I don't have
BHAGs.
like
Like,
a
I have
one
like a BHAG.
statement.
Okay, so like, and I didn't know, but
Well,
like,
I
you
would
do have a
say,
direction.
so I'm still dialing it in. I
Yeah.
know that what fills my cup is people saying, like, something that I learned or something that I experienced while alongside of you,
Mm-hmm.
while, like, it has nothing to do with me. It means that I'm serving my God, right? But when they come and they say, like, this is not just changing the way I show up in sales. This is changing the way I show up as a husband, as a wife, as a valued member of society. Like, this is changing the way I communicate. This is changing my thought patterns, my, like, thank you for being authentic and real and having these conversations and opening the door for these things and slowing down. Like, when I hear those things, I know that I'm doing what God has called me to do. And He's opening the door more and more and more for those conversations of people coming and being like, this is what I'm going through. Looking for encouragement, looking for support, um, just valuing each other.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm after. I would have said, 6 months ago, it was to impact 200 companies, 200 business owners.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to say that that's still, like, in my head. I mean, it is still in my head and in my heart. Like, I want to, like, whoever the Lord allows me to make an impact, like, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
So if it's 200 or 20 or 2,000 or 20,000, I just want to live and serve well.
Yeah.
So putting a number on it almost feels like I'm planning and not trusting God's plan. So it's just, I'm not saying you shouldn't have, like, a desired end state where there's tangibles or
Yeah.
metrics. I'm just really trying to figure out what that is for our business.
Yeah. And I
Still
think like
in process, TBD.
TBD, but I also think that like that also depends on the type of person you are, right? So like I have a number because I know that the byproduct of that of the chase of that number is impact in the world. And so like is a certain impact in the world. And so like that's where for me a number is helpful because I feel like I can reverse engineer that and then stay on
Yeah,
track because like I feel like
absolutely.
and for you like what I really love is like and what I know that you love about what you do is it is the vehicle that fulfills the purpose that you feel like God has called you to, which I feel the exact same way. And so for me, I want to make sure that I'm a good steward of this vehicle and I want to make sure that I'm moving in the right direction and giving the attention that I need to it. And numbers help me to do that, but they don't also help other people to do that. Like for you, it sounds like you're just like, I know the impact I want to make. And so whatever, regardless of what way I do it, I just want to make that impact, which is fantastic.
I think I believe that it is 100% necessary to have SMART goals
Hmm.
around your vision, around your
Yep.
mission and your purpose. Um, you asked kind of what has been the journey. Like, over the last 6 months, I've just really been trying to nail that down. And I think that there is a number for me. There is a number inside of me. Though I don't think that I've been ready for it. And so I don't think that it's been revealed to me. Like I said, I'm still struggling in certain capacities with fear, which seems so illogical, like but putting yourself out into the world, even doing something like a podcast, like it's intimidating. And as much as I want to make an impact, I have hit the brakes so many times going live, going out into the social media world, putting myself out there in a bigger way. Um, I would say like I don't know, what is offense? Is offense where you've got the ball and you're trying to get it to the goal?
Man, yes, that is exactly what offense
Okay,
is.
so then I feel like I've been in defense,
Mm,
where like I want people, my people, whoever the Lord has for me, like come to me. Like I want,
mhm.
to just be open and inviting without forcing these things to happen. Um, but yeah, I am intimidated as all get out. What you do with this podcast and your social presence and the way that you share your heart without fear of second thought of what other people are thinking or this, that, or the other, like um I'm such a perfectionist and control freak at heart, like I have got to let go of those outcomes. And that's literally actively what I am working on. How can I get my heart and my message and our business and like our what we provide, our purpose, our service out to the world in a really authentic way? Um, and I feel like I'm battling the norm, Devin, where people are like, this is what you should do. This is how you do it.
Yeah, that's good.
This is how you do it. And I'm like, that's how you do it.
Hmm.
Like hey real estate investors, when was the last time that you saw da, 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 like
Yeah.
um and that's just not me.
Hmm.
And I have an entire script written for social presence and marketing, and I hate it. I
Yeah.
hate it. Because it isn't my heart. It's not, and there's this almost like I know I'm just going on and on and on. You
No,
can
this
stop.
is great because like because I've been thinking about this while you're talking, and I don't mean to interrupt you.
Mm-mm.
I've thought
I
about a couple of
invited you
things.
to interrupt me.
I've thought about a couple of things, but one of the main things is like this is good, and this is so good because more people don't come on podcasts and talk about this, right? They talk about, oh, I'm crushing at this, and then they told me to do some marketing stuff, so I did it, and then we're doing this. But nobody talks about they told me to do this marketing stuff, and I hate it, and so then I'm still working through that. Which I think this is such an important conversation because a lot of people that are going to listen to this are in the position where they're like, they tell me to get on social media, and I hate it. And so then, like, what does it look like for me to wrestle with that and work through that? Because one thing I also know about you, Jenny, is we will have a conversation right before you get up and give a speech and you're like, I'm so nervous, I'm not going to do well, I'm not this, I'm not that. And like it's like, Jenny, you are the most of all of those things here
Yeah.
of anybody. And then you get up and then you crush it. And so like that's where for you, I know I hear like a lot of the stuff you're saying, and then I see you like doing that, and like a lot of other people feel that. So like
Yeah.
one, be encouraged and know that even just your vulnerability and transparency in this context right here is just so helpful for so many people listening, and it's so helpful for
It's
me
just
too.
there's like so many variables to consider. Like I am a
Hmm.
data human. I don't know that you know that about me or that the world knows that about me, but I am analytical and process minded, and I gather as much information as I can and I make the most educated decision, and it has
Hmm.
usually served me well. But there are so many variables. Like don't
Hmm.
make it about you. Don't be this. Don't do that. Like make them the hero, share the story, be vulnerable, but don't be too vulnerable. You can't just like go cry, like, like don't look like this girl who's pitiful. Go be a powerful female. Go like I
Yeah,
can't control a million people's perception of me
that's right.
in any given moment. And
All you can control is your reaction to things and what you believe they think about you, you know? And if
yeah,
you
and
care
I
about
mean,
it.
I can't tell you how many times I've like typed something up, or recorded something and like gone to post it and then deleted it, or like typed something up and then deleted it, or recorded something and then deleted it again. Um, and the Lord is using all of those things. Like just the other day, I recorded a video of myself, like a crazy person, just talking to myself. And I was like, well, that's not going anywhere. I'm definitely not using that. And then just an opportunity came up where it was like, oh man, I have to send this to this person. Like they have to see this. They asked for this. Like I cannot believe that they asked for this. And so,
Yeah.
the Lord is using it even though I'm still timid, even though I'm still nervous. But know that my heart is to share what people in my program are going through and what they're learning and where they're evolving, and not just people in the program, people in my life. Like I've seen you transform in so many ways just in the last year of knowing you. Um, and just the respect that you have from the people in the room and in the world, in every area of your life. Like it's just been an incredible journey learning about everybody in
Yeah.
the space.
Well, I'm thankful for that, and I'm thankful for what you said. Now, this has been a really good, like, one, I believe that, like, self-awareness is a superpower. I think it's, like, absolutely a superpower, and one of the best things, and so one of the best skills to have, and I think you have a massive amount of self-awareness and self-reflection, and I think that it just grows you, like, phenomenally, and so I'm glad we've had this part of the conversation. I'm going to transition a little bit more here, but we still are going to learn about you because this is probably one of my favorite parts of my podcast that you don't know about. And so, because I didn't prep you for this is what I like to call What the Gram, where I actually looked on like your social media and pulled some photos, and I would love for you to explain them.
Oh God.
What? What?
What did you find?
No, I didn't
There's
find any.
mortifying pictures on my Instagram.
No,
So
I
you
didn't.
must not have dug deep enough.
What's funny is I didn't even really go on your Instagram. I went on your Facebook because I know you don't post a whole lot on your Instagram. So,
Well,
um,
good, because there's mortifying ones.
yeah, so I should have gone. You know what? While we're doing this, I just might go there. Okay, so I actually am going to show this one. So this looks like, and this is actually like a little bit of a fun one here, I think.
Okay.
Ooh, you know what? I think I'm gonna start. I think I'm gonna start here. So I'm gonna start here because I love this about you. I think this is so cool because we just got done talking about all of this, and then this is like a very validating what the gram to what we just got done talking about. So here is a photo here of you at the Collective Genius holding a belt. I would love to hear about this. What I also would love about hear about this too, and you can just explain this to us, but also like your thoughts leading up to this, and then like because you and I had very specific conversations about this, and then like what it was like for you to win this specifically in a room full of men. Like it just very cool. And so I'd love for you to share. This is essentially you winning. Just for people listening, you can see this on like our YouTube, but the people listening, this is a video of you with a picture of the belt winners for having the best presentation in the Collective Genius Mastermind that quarter.
So, leading up to this was a little bit challenging and nerve-wracking, but we knew that we just wanted to share our hearts, Annie and I.
Mhm.
And I have, what a lot of people don't know is that Annie was my coach for a while before we became partners, and
Nice.
she taught me so many things about communication and feedback, and it transformed my marriage, and it really saved my marriage in a lot of ways. So between Annie and AA and therapy and just the Word of God and church and friends, we really have learned like communication and how to be intentional with it. And so from that presentation, in that presentation we talked about how to give and receive intentional and connecting feedback in a way that feels really authentic and genuine, where it's not micromanaging as a manager and a leader, but really encouraging and transferring of ownership. So it was definitely a journey. I feel very honored to have been able to be up there on that stage. It was a full circle moment for sure. Like coming from being on video, like being in a video presentation for someone else, to being able to present my heart and our heart for the world, was just a really overwhelming, super cool moment. So
Good. Good, good, good. I love it. So good. Okay. The next photo. This is a picture of you, and it looks like a fishing trip. And like honestly, like the importance of probably the people here too, because I think this is really cool. So this is you on a fishing trip. It looks like you holding some fish here. Do you fish often? What's this about?
So we live on the water. We're pretty close to the beach, and so we absolutely
There's
love
beaches
going
in
out.
Alabama.
Yes.
I love how you said that too.
They're amazing. There's some really phenomenal, white sand beaches. But
Nice.
yeah, this was my husband is the really tall one on the left, or I
Mhm.
guess I don't, depending on where you're looking
Yeah,
at, the
yeah, I
one in
think
the
it's
red
anywhere.
shorts. That's my husband, and you guys, a lot of you probably know Ren. But he has really been a mentor for me in so many ways, and kind of gave me my start in the space of real estate. And so this was. And then the guy on my left, Corey, he was kind of my partner in crime in the space and the organization that we worked for. And so this was us like enjoying a well deserved
Sure.
trip. We had worked really hard and we ate all that fish too. It was
Good.
delicious.
As you should have. Is that
Red
grouper or red snapper?
red snapper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
we maxed out the boat, so we took home a lot of fish. It was
Let's go. That's the way to do it. Okay, and then the last one here. Okay, so this is a picture of you with Hulk Hogan. This is awesome. This is what are
hey
you covering
brother.
up? Huh?
I said, "Hey brother."
Yeah, this is awesome. Okay, so like explain this.
So I really took that picture for my husband because he is like a hardcore wrestling fan. Like
Nice.
he has a Hulk Hogan Wrestle Buddy. I don't know if you guys remember Wrestle Buddies from like
Yeah.
they're like anyway. And so I got to meet Hulk Hogan at a mastermind and take a picture with him and just hear his story. His real name's Terry. And he's just an incredibly humble human
Cool.
and everybody else was like shaking his hand and like smiling all cute and I was like, I'm gonna punch you in the face, brother.
And he did it. He looks
He was
like
happy.
he
It
took
was
it
fun.
well.
He did.
That's awesome. Good. I love that. So you're at this mastermind and I think this is like family mastermind for educators in this space. And so I think I would love to go into talking about that kind of area. So what you do is because you talked about how you coach and what you coach, but we didn't talk about like specifically. So the type of people you coach and like what you do coaching for. Even before we do that, really quickly, you also mentioned that you had a vision coach. And that Annie was your coach. And so for you in your life, like how important is coaching for you? And what kind of coaches do you have? Because I've even never heard of a vision coach, but I've heard of all kinds of other coaches. And so for you, like, do you have other coaches and how important is coaching in your life?
Oh man. Um, so a lot of people don't know this, but I was a competitive gymnast for about 15 years growing up. And so a lot of my perfectionism and like self-awareness and just internalization
Hmm.
really comes from that. And so I spent more hours in the gym than I did at home with my coach. And his name was Joel Inman. And he passed away a few years back, but just learned a lot from that man. He made a massive impact on my
Sounds
life.
like it.
And so many young females' lives, right? Blood, sweat, and tears. But he encouraged me and he taught me so much about myself. So along with my dad, my coach was just such an integral part of who I am.
Yeah.
And so even from a young age, like I said, I've had a coach who could see things past what I could see and who could help me bring awareness to elements that I might be missing. And so coaching is a massive part of my life in so many ways. Like I said, I have I've been sober for almost 5 years, so I have
Let's
a
go.
AA sponsor who's a life coach. I've had coaches through pretty much every step of my career or people that mentored me or came alongside me. So I definitely think that having perspective, trusted
Hmm.
advisors that you can go, I always say like I borrow my confidence from those people. Like just being able to have people in your corner in your boat that you can lean on for support and borrow their confidence or borrow their knowledge or their wisdom or man, sometimes their frustration, their fascination, just borrowing those things it's necessary for growth. We're
Yeah.
not meant to do this alone. And honestly, like inviting people into your problems is truly where I have found my greatest strengths. And being vulnerable, inviting them in to help me problem solve, inviting them into that problem solving space has been very rewarding.
Good. Good. I love that. So now for you, you do that for other people. So you coach, and I'd love for you to let us know what you coach. And through that coaching, we've talked about this idea of just like transformational coaching. So it's not like the normal sales coaching that you'd get from amazing people like Steve Trang and from all of these other people that do coaching that are fantastic at what they do. Yours is a little
Absolutely.
bit different, which is really cool. And I think also very needed in our industry in a lot of ways, because you can swing the pendulum over to the what is his name? Elliot something, who is just like, if you don't go to the gym, you can't work for me type of salesperson, to now, and I'm not saying you're on the whole other side of the pendulum,
Right.
but I think
There's
your side of the pendulum is a little bit more emotional based, and it's even honestly, I love it because like I think it gets to the core of the people and what they really want and makes them feel valued and understood, which I think is at the root of like all sales, the most important thing. And so for you, I'd love to hear like what you do and the approach you take to it. And then even like some of the ways that you've seen it affect and help other people.
So I coach lead managers, acquisition managers, and sales managers, three
Specifically in real estate.
specifically in real
Okay.
estate. And so I like to describe our coaching program as a mastermind for your salespeople, where they get to go and borrow confidence from other people in their role who are on their level, their peers. I would say that our program is very interactive and engaging in that way of asking, just like my dad did when I was younger, like just asking me the right questions to get me to
Hmm.
open up and really be introspective. A lot of what we focus on starts first with your mindset. And vulnerability. So we work really hard to reconstruct some of viewpoints on things like leadership or success. And not that it's so hard to talk about it in a way that makes it make sense, but no one can tell you what your definition of success is, and no one can
Yep.
describe for you how you view leadership and what amazing leaders you've had in your life or lack thereof. And so everybody has a perspective on all the things that we talk about. And so, in order to take coordinated action, we have to open the door, put those viewpoints and perspectives on the table,
Hmm.
and talk about what what do we want? This is what we've experienced, but what are we moving towards? This is where we are, but what are we moving towards?
Yeah.
And so our program is we do it is not just emotional. I know you said that like you expressed that already. We do talk about the tactics and techniques
Yeah. Very practical.
and tools for
Yeah.
application on how to improve your conversions and increase your conversations and all of those things, and how to understand how you fit into the machine of the real estate investing world. But in order to be able to do that, in order for people to really listen to any advice or perspective you have to first get them talking about themselves. It's a sales process.
Hmm.
So I would say that our program really it teaches a sales process, but also in real time displays the sales process. Before you can create a sense of urgency and action in someone else, you have to build trust. And so that is kind of the journey that I take our students and clients through. And they get to experience that and really dig into implementation. So
Okay.
we coach 2 times a week for an hour a day. I do a focus training, a very focused intentional training, and then an implementation training where we make sure that the concepts are really solidified, so you can implement with confidence. My actual title is confidence coach, chief confidence coach.
Boom. That's
uh,
right.
Stupid.
No,
But
that's
I mean,
good.
it really is like if I could
Yeah.
say what I do well. And really, my genius is really it's really helping other people feel confident in themselves, which is so crazy because I struggle myself. Like, and I
Mhm.
think maybe that's why I'm able to help as much as I am, because I've got empathy for the struggles
Yeah,
and those kind of things. But
in there.
I hope that that creates a picture of our program. We want to up-level sales teams. We want to up-level the way your team communicates with inside the walls of internal team, but also how they communicate external to the people in the space. Like,
Yeah.
what I teach and what we get to talk about makes an impact far beyond just the people in the program. I mean, it's the homeowners, the investors, the tenants that are moving in, or the homeowners that are buying the house, the transaction coordinator, the realtors, I mean, you name it. There's so many people impacted by one conversation. And that conversation has so much power to change lives.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good. And you teach that conversation and how to get to the core of it, which is really important. Jenny, this has been like fantastic. And we'll probably got to do another one so that people can learn a little bit more about the strategies of what you do. So we got to set up another one because I think what we hit on today was more important than sales training because I think it is, I think at the root of a lot of who we are, it's what we struggle with the most in a lot of ways. And so I'm so thankful for you coming on and sharing that part of things and that side of things. And I'm excited to do it again to where you can share maybe even the sales side of things and how that's going and what that looks like, because I think you have so much value to give in that area that my team has learned a ton from. I've learned a ton from the collective genius, and other people that you've taught learns and coached learns a ton from. And so I'm so thankful for you even coming on here. And I know I'm just like throwing this out to you very randomly, but for you, like if you had one last thing that you could say almost to the world, right? Like to the world, this is the last thing you could say, and it could literally be anything. It could, and I'm giving you a second because I never told you about this. It could be literally anything, but like the last thing that you knew, and I don't want to say this because it's kind of like, but you knew you were going to like die the next day and you got one thing to say and it could be about anything. What would that be?
You know, I would say that it's kind of been my mantra, and I wish I could explain it in more detail, but um, like the message that I want to leave the world is make yourself proud. And that doesn't mean pride in yourself. Like the way that I have said that to myself is like, I know whose I am and I know who I serve. And in order to make myself proud, that means I am surrendering. And so my mantra is make yourself proud, which is something I learned, like I said, through this kind of AA journey, through my sobriety, of like, it's okay to make a decision, to make the right decision. Make yourself proud and every day. Like, we can't focus on tomorrow and we can't change yesterday. Like, all I can do is show up and make myself proud today and have that vision and live in that vision and live in that mission. So yeah, and love people. Make yourself proud and love big. Love big, 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 big. I tell my son, I love you big much, big much. And so people are different. People are going through every season of life, and don't miss it. Don't miss what someone's experiencing and what they're going through because you're so focused on stuff that doesn't matter. Love big.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Where can people find you? If they want to reach out to you, if they want to hire you, which they should, where should people reach out to you from?
So they can go, you guys can find me at reisalestools.com. You can also email me at Jennie, Jennie, at reisalestools.com, or you can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, slide into my DMs, whatever.
Perfect. At what? Like, what's the Instagram?
Oh, my Instagram is actually JMG909.
Listen, nobody would have known that. You said find me on Instagram, and then like you
Sorry. I
didn't give
mean,
a
I feel
name.
like you can search somebody. I don't
Not
Instagram
if it's
very often. You
JMG909.
can search Jennie Hudspeth and it'll pop
Probably,
up, right?
probably.
I don't
Um,
Instagram much. I'm a Facebook human.
well, good. Well, Jenny, thank you so much for being here. I
Thank
appreciate
you
you
so
and your
much.
time, and we got to do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thank
Thank
you.
you.